G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Western Force versus Crusaders. This was in, This was in Perth, but this was not played at midnight New Zealand time this time, like the Blues game, where it was played at 10 PM Australian time, which would have been midnight for the New Zealand team. So this was a reasonable time for the Crusaders, 10 o'clock in the evening. And yeah, this was, once again, Crusaders is starting to become like a habit almost for the team that they really underperforms in the first half. It's been a consistent trend now for the Crusaders, and it was just really bizarre actually how this has become a thing for the Crusaders. The Western Force was well in the game at half time. They were, 8 points to 18 down at half time. And in overall stats was pretty similar, despite the fact that Western Force was making quite a few errors. Crusaders made a lot of errors as well themselves. Richie Mwanga couldn't kick a single conversion. Not a single conversion in the first half. He kicked the penalty goal, but he couldn't kick a single conversion in the first half, despite the Crusaders scoring 3 tries. And second half, I think he slaughtered pretty much every conversion quite easily. So not sure what's going on with the Crusaders. And also, it's almost like in the second half, they had a completely different team on the field. Obviously, they didn't, but it felt like as if they did. For the first half, Fainga and Nuku, the only man who seems to know how to do anything. They just keep giving him the ball, and he keeps delivering 3 tries in the first half. And second half, it was almost like they'd taken him off the field. Pretty sure he was still on the field. But Will Jordan takes over the show with Blackadder and just really ramped up the pressure on the Western Force. 5 tries in the second half and really put the Force away. And yeah, and Rich Mwanga get those kicks right in the second half despite missing all the kicks in the first half. Really weird, bizarre. This happened in the Crusaders team last week as well against the Waratahs, letting the Waratahs in the game way too much in the first half. Really, yeah, not sure, maybe something to do with their warm-up routine. Maybe the Crusaders needs to spend more time doing their warm-ups. Not sure what the issue is, but the players just not in the game in the first half. The Western Force really let themselves down a bit in the first half as well. They could probably be much closer in the scoreboard. The score was 8 points to 18. But there were so many tries. It was 2 tries actually, due to Brian Roston, the winger, biting in on his line, and then just leaving Fainga Nuku out wide completely open. 2 of the tries resulted in the same error by the same person. Brian Roston was on the wing. He sees the center running. He just bites into the center and leaving Fainga Nuku wide open twice for 2 tries. So that was really not ideal for the Western Force. Even at half time, they asked the coach, "Did you guys see that issue there?" The coach is like, "Yeah, we had a talk." But yeah, just really important to hold your line and mark your player. It looked almost amateurish for him to cut in, not really even making a tackle, not actually able to shut down the ball from passing over the top. And yeah, it was really soft tries by two Fainga Nuku. And first half was also a game where every opportunity the Crusaders had was just they're literally setting up the set pieces to try to get Fainga Nuku to go over the try line. Scrum, first receiver, Fainga Nuku, trying to give him the crash through. And then, another scrum, find Fainga on the wing, and he goes in for a try. It was just completely dominated by Fainga Nuku. And then second half, he just, completely disappears. I think he might have been taken off for George Bridge or something. I'm not sure what was happening, but he was just completely... Did he actually get taken off? But yeah, he just was completely overtaken by Will Jordan and scoring 3 tries for himself in the second half. Overall, the Western Force actually had plenty of opportunities to score their tries. They were really hurt by some of the handling errors, especially in the first half. And also in the second half, the Western Force was under the pump by the Crusaders. Maybe the Western Force tried to be a bit too fancy with some of their moves, resulting in a lot of the mishandling of the ball, and the Crusaders were able to counterattack and delivering results for themselves. Will Jordan, he's a freak of nature, which I don't know how this guy can do it. He seems to be one of those people who can catch the ball at full speed, regardless of where the ball is in the air. He just plucks it out of the air, regardless of where it's going, how it's bouncing. He just plucks it in the air and then goes at full speed without even slowing down, and it goes in for tries. He's absolutely a freak of nature, Will Jordan. And then Pablo Matera also played exceptionally well. Just just hard crashing ball. Everybody knew he was going to be hard running and hard crashing, but yeah, he just brought the physicality for the team. And finally, who was it? What is his name? Ethan Blackadder also linked up quite well with Will Jordan with some really good hard running as well, especially in the second half. Like, the Crusaders completely changed it around. Really, really bizarre how this has become a thing for the Crusaders. Not really a team that's known to be a slow starting team, historically speaking. So let's look at the tries. 2 tries to the Western Force, 8 for the Crusaders. At halftime, the meters was much closer, but in the second half, the Crusaders really kicked into gear. 476 run meters to 257. Turnovers conceded, 10 on both teams. Tackles, 101 tackles for the Western Force, 22 missed tackles. Crusaders, 165 tackles. So the Crusaders actually had to do more tackles and 25 missed tackles, despite scoring 8 tries, right? So the Western Force definitely had their share of attacking opportunities, and the Crusaders really was able to hold on with a good defense. Kicks in play, 23 for the Western Force, 20 for the Crusaders. Conversions, like I said, Richie Mo'unga missed all 3 conversions in the first half and easily slotted all 5 conversions in the second half. I don't know what was happening. Like, he almost looked like he was, not warmed up or something. Like, it was really, really bizarre. Line-out loss. 2 line-outs lost to the Crusaders. That is really, like, unexpected, whereas the Western Force didn't lose any of the line-outs, despite you think that Sam Whitelock will be someone that doesn't, will be someone that's, that's don't really make mistakes. But, the Crusaders, again, 2 line-outs lost, 1 scrum loss as well, and then 12 penalties against Crusaders to the Western Force 8. Really, really, in terms of the stats overall, it looked like Western Force actually has slightly better stats in some of those key areas like penalty count and set pieces, but the Crusaders was just able to carve through the Western Force defense, and the Western Force was not able to do nearly the same amount of damage when they had their opportunities. So quickly, let's talk about some of the tries. So 5 minutes into the game, the Western Force actually gets the first opportunity to attack in the Crusaders half. A little bit of early pressure, a mistake by Mo'unga. I think it was supposed to be like a 22 dropout. He just he ran forward and the ball kind of like came loose. Anyway, it was like a penalty for the Western Force early. They slot this one for a 3-point lead. 8 minutes into the game, Western Force started looking really good. They get a 50-22, and then they had an they had an opportunity for a 5-meter line out, and the ball gets stolen. And the ball gets stolen by Faenga Anuku following the line out. Anyway, the Crusaders counterattacks on the 11th minute. The Crusaders did a little kick behind. They chased the ball back down. There was a penalty at the breakdown, and they play the penalty advantage. Ball goes to Faenga Anuku. He just charges through the line, goes in, but muscles himself in for the first try for the Crusaders. So he gets a turnover a few minutes earlier, and then he gets the try on the ball for the Crusaders. 5 points to 3. Richie Mo'unga didn't get this conversion. On the 15th minute, Western Force gets on the front foot again, doing the counter punch. They get in, put on a lot of pressure against the Crusaders. I don't even think there was a penalty advantage here. Was there a penalty advantage? I don't even think there was a penalty advantage. But Western Force, nice little grabber kicks through. Richie Mo'unga was out of position. He kind of pushed up too quickly, rushed up too quickly, put a chip behind, and Strachan chases up, gets the ball down for the Western Force first try. And at this point, it was like tick for tack for both teams. Western Force gets himself back ahead. On the 29th minute, Richie Mo'unga gets the ball from the scrum. And just easy as that, he gets basically the Crusaders were in the Western Force half, center field scrum. The ball comes out, goes to Richie Mo'unga. Richie Mo'unga, I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's able to draw like 3 defenders from this. He just runs, kind of like in a bit of an angle, and then he's able to not only draw 2 defenders in front of him, but he draws, like I was talking about, the number 14 from the Western Force all the way out from the wing to bite in on him, passes the ball to Fainga'a, runs into a massive open gap for the second try for the Crusaders, and then on the 35th minute, Crusaders gets another penalty. They're showing some respect, feeling the pressure from the Western Force, and maybe like just slowing the game down a little bit. They are really kind of struggling to I guess get over the like they were making a lot of mistakes, losing the ball. So on the 35th minute, Crusader kick a penalty, 13 points to 8, and then finally just before halftime, you kind of like feel this coming. This is a good Crusaders classic. Before halftime kind of push, they were really close on the so they were really close at one point. The Western Force gets an opportunity. Crusader drops the ball. Western Force gets an opportunity to run the ball out following their own scrum, and Western Force the player just drops the ball. Like as he's running out, he just drops the ball. And it was really poor. So Crusaders gets an opportunity for their own scrum. And man, it's just that easy. They get this first scrum. They literally, the first scrum, they have Fainga'a standing at like the 12 position. Just first pass to him. He tries to crash in. He didn't get through. And then there was a penalty for offside. And the Crusaders tried to crash again. And they lost the ball, right? So then they have another scrum on the 39th minute, second attempt. This time they have Fainga'a all the way out on the wing. They just easily get the ball out. Quick hands. And then once again, the number 14 bites in to the, I think this was the center. Who was it? I don't think this was Richard Mwanga this time. He bites into the player in field and leaving Fainga'a wide open out wide again. They just throw the ball out wide. Fainga'a gets the ball, runs in for the try into the corner. Yeah, halftime score 18 points to 8. Second half starts. Western Force came out firing. 2 minutes into the second half, Western Force scores a try. Lee Warner just charges through, barges way through, following a really quick ball from Western Force, just building a lot of momentum following from the kickoff. Suddenly the score is 15 points to 18. Game on. And that is pretty much the only like good looking thing the Western Force did in the second half. From there on forward, it was all Crusaders. 45th minute, Crusaders immediately tries to strike back following this try. They get a penalty. They go to a line out. The line out, they didn't even jump for the line. It just throws the ball into the front receiver like the old days. So it didn't even jump, throws the ball in. They had a fake like kind of like maul, just spreads the ball out wide. Pablo Matera was center field. They do 2 passes to Matera, crashes in under the goalpost. First try for the Crusaders in the second half. And then on the 50th minute, George Bridge, so in the second half, George Bridge was doing some really good work. He makes a little break. He links up with Colin Grace. Colin Grace charges towards the Western Force try line. He gets tackled like 5 meters short. Quick ball comes out. With Jordan, you can see him calling it for the ball. They pass to him as the first receiver. He sees like a hooker and a prop in front of him. Step in field from the hooker, runs straight into the prop, just basically bumps over him for that easy first try in the second half for himself. Second try for the Crusaders, 49th minute. And then on the 58th minute, George Bridge once again, he gets the ball on the sideline. He runs down the sideline. He chips the ball through. And Will Jordan, seemingly like read his mind or something, runs from like center field, cut like in like this massive angle, charges through, catches the ball on the bounce, and then he just and then he'll, you can imagine the angle he was running towards the sideline. He tiptoes on the sideline with 2 players trying to push him out. He shrugs them off, goes in for that for the third try in the second half of the Crusaders. It was absolutely beautiful. Like how he able to catch that ball in full speed, and it was just unbelievable. Look untouchable there. There was surely, you thought he was gonna get pushed out. There was 2 defenders coming up against him. Just shrugged them both off. Tiptoeing on the try line, on the sideline. Nah, no worries. On the 68th minute, Will Jordan, Blackadder, just 2-man show here. So Will Jordan gets the ball. He runs up to he was up out of the outside center position. He runs up, sees Ethan Blackadder on his inside. He short ball to Ethan Blackadder. Ethan Blackadder finds a gap, goes through. Will Jordan follows up. Blackadder passes back to Will Jordan. Will Jordan runs through. The fullback comes up to cover him. Will Jordan just cuts back in field, and the fullback just literally fell over like a tree, right? Like a tree that's just been cut down. He just went like falling flat on his back. And Will Jordan just literally made him look like a stump that's like a chair getting pushed over, right? Like just runs past him and just falls over. And really easy try for Jordan there. 68th minute, and then he almost got a another try following a Western Force really try to attack, and they're like just forcing some of the passes, getting a bit desperate, and there was like a loose pass from Western Force where Will Jordan recovered. It looked like he was going through for another try, but and the referee calls back for advantage to the Western Force. But yeah, he looked like he almost got a fourth try, but on the 77th minute, the Crusaders almost scored again in the corner. This was I think who was it? It was I think it was the reserve. I think it's this guy, Fihaki. But anyway, the Crusaders player, he was like on the wing. He literally tried to dunk the ball over the try line into the corner, and he actually like dunked it on the sideline. And Andrew Merchants was like, his foot touched the sideline, and everyone's like, oh, what foot? But he did. His foot actually scraped the sideline. So it should have been a 5-meter line out instead of a 22-meter dropout, because he put the ball on the inside the end zone, past the try line onto the sideline, right? So this should have been a 22-meter dropout in this case, but because his foot actually touched the sideline before the ball hit the ground, this should have been a 5-meter line out. But anyway, Andrew Mertens was not happy. He's the only one that seemed to saw this. All the other commentators was laughing at him. But anyway, the Western Force get out of jail for that. But anyway, on the 80th minute, the penalty starts the stack out against the Western Force again. The Crusaders goes to their bread and butter, goes for a maul. The maul's going sideways. And then George Bell, the new player for Crusader, peels off, crashes through, wrestles the ball down for the 7th try. Is it 7th? Oh, no, the 8th try for the Crusaders. Final score, 53 points to 15. Yeah. So yeah, let me know your thoughts about the Crusaders. Why is the Crusaders not able to perform in the first half? Let me know your thoughts if you got any theories. And next week will be against Brumbies. So this will be a really, really huge week coming up for the Crusaders in Canberra. Really long trip for the team, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see that one. Thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate you being here, and see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.